who's number one, who's number one, who's number one, who's number one? From the Cinderella stories that gave us reasons to celebrate, to the worst coaches who just couldn't motivate, to the best masters where being great depended on how well you could concentrate. From the worst trades by GMs who just couldn't evaluate, to the best game sevens that made the hair in your arms percolate. The buzzer beaters that made you happy that you stayed up late. The most overplayed moments that weren't that great. The NFL draft bust that never quite got out the gate. The most outrageous characters that you just love to hate. If who's number one is the topic that you love to debate, then smile, cause you no longer have to wait. You see, this is not a commercial, the show's already begun. So who's number one, who's number one, who's number one?
Welcome to Who's Number One. I'm Trey Wingo. Fact, the Peach Basket went up in 1891. The first ball had laces. Anyone 6 feet tall was considered a giant and automatically assigned the pivot. The shot of choice, you know, the two-handed set shot. A dunk, like Michael Jordan, did not exist. What would evolve into the NBA began in 1946 with the legendary teams like the Providence Steamrollers, the Chicago Stags, and of course, the St. Louis Bombers. Oh, and then the game changed. Did it change? 7-footers are everywhere, and their game is dunkerific. In this edition of Who's Number One, ESPN Classic combs through pro basketball's storied past and its glittering present to rank the 20 best NBA teams of all time.
20.
The opposition asked for their autographs after losing by 60. Such was the appeal of the team representing America in the 1992 Olympics, the first games open to the pros. The marquee was ablaze. MJ, Magic, Larry Legend, Sir Charles, and on and on.
The Dream Team in 92, the original, the best, the only, the first.
They were the epitome of playing the game correctly and playing the game well.
Behind the back for Bird.
This was about those few moments where Michael would get a touch, and then Magic would get a touch, and then it would go to Larry, and you'd say, oh, okay, this is how sports is supposed to be.
Playing the Olympics was the ultimate, and playing with this group of guys that I played with was the best.
Magic
and we put on a show, and we let the world know that we were the best, and they appreciated that we beat them by 50 and 60 points a game.
Not so much whether they'll win, but by how much.
It was unbelievable, the attention that was paid to that team.
I didn't know how big the Dream Team phenomena was until we got there.
At the start of the game, they would come down, they'd pull you out of your line, take pictures. They were in all of us.
Michael fouled one guy. He was on the free throw line crying because he couldn't believe that Michael Jordan had just touched him.
The indelible image I take from the 1992 Olympics is flashbulbs. And it didn't stop. It was like a Beatles concert.
La selección de Estados Unidos, el Dream Team. There'll be a lot of teams called the Dream Team, but there's only one real Dream Team. Let's get that straight.
19.
They had Big E, Silky Elvin Hayes, and wide Wes Unseld, setter of punishing picks. They and the rest of the 1978 Bullets finished third in the East, but gelled at exactly the right moment to give the city of Washington its first title since the 1942 Redskins.
It was during that playoffs that Mata coined the famous phrase, "It ain't over till the fat lady sings."
I thought they were a great team. I was impressed with Wes Unseld, a guy that had the impact at his size.
Built like a linebacker. He played center in the NBA at 6'5" and about 280.
Just a beast under the backboards, a beast down low.
And bodies would literally bounce off him.
It was a tough, basic, no-nonsense team. It was fascinating because it had personality dynamics between Wes Unseld, the ultimate unselfish team player, and Elvin Hayes, the ultimate selfish stat guy.
All these theories about team chemistry and loving each other, not true on that Bullets team.
But Wes knew that Elvin was a great, great player, so you had to do certain things to keep Elvin mentally in the game. You had to stroke his ego here and there just to get Elvin to play.
That was the team, 1978 Bullets. It ain't over till the fat lady sings, and you could look it up.
18.
There was a Cliff, Hagan, and a Slater, Martin, and an Easy Ed, as in Macaulay. But mostly there was Bob Pettit, the prototypical power forward. He scored 50 in the title clincher for the 1958 Hawks, who beat a Celtics team hobbled by injury to their intimidating center.
The 58 St. Louis Hawks were an excellent basketball team, and they deserved to have Bill Russell be injured.
When Russell got hurt, it was like, you know, the master is away from guarding everything, so now we can attack.
They had two great players in Bob Pettit and Cliff Hagan, and they played like champs.
Pettit was the real deal. 6'9", good build, fluid.
He was just smooth and had a great baseline shot.
Fabulous power forward who, even today, would still be an all-star. You had a really excellent team that was perennially blocked at the gate by the Celtics or Lakers. They finally got their due.
17.
Legend has it that upon arrival in New York from his native Nigeria, Hakeem Olajuwon told the cab driver, "Houston, my man." From that point on, he did all the driving, steering the '94 Rockets to their first of 2 straight titles, even as television cut away for a different drive.
While it was different without Michael Jordan, we got to see truly one of the greats ever play at his best.
Hakeem Olajuwon is still one of the most graceful centers to ever play.
His combination of the power and the finesse, the quickness, the confidence.
It was basically the clash of these two great centers, all series long going back and forth. And this is going to be the tale of their careers.
The Knicks were right there, and they had it, and they thought they were going to win. They had no idea how much in reserve Hakeem had.
He just told them, in essence, follow me, guys, I'm going to take you there.
And the Rockets, they're coming right back. Kenny Smith and Sam Cassell, beautiful give-and-take basketball, fierce. And all of a sudden, this whole nother scenario comes into play.
We are looking at a picture of the vehicle. David, I don't know, can you tell?
It's the juice. And they're chasing him down because he may or may not have murdered 2 people.
They cut away from the NBA Finals to go see O.J. Simpson? What is that all about?
This is the NBA Finals. How about a news flash? We'll keep you posted.
16.
Everything was funneled through Bill Walton, and the 1977 Trailblazers played share the ball. In the finals, they fought back from a 2-0 deficit to take 4 straight from the 76ers of Dr. J.
The 77 Trailblazers were really the dream of sort of an artist's vision of a basketball team.
They really played the right way. They could defend. They could beat you in a lot of different ways. They had everything and really, truly were a team.
And it was Bill Walton's great moment in the pros.
I remember that team well because I was a hardcore Dr. J fan. And they had the series, you know, they were up 2-0.
Basically, that was our first look at a dream team, that 76ers team, when they got beat by the quote-unquote team of Portland Trailblazers.
They're one of the hidden jewels in NBA history, one of the really good teams.
The spirit that lived in the Portland Trailblazers symbolized that entire love for team basketball.
Don't flinch, don't move an inch, don't even make a sound. We'll be back like center field at the Polo Grounds. Underdogs taking it all. Legends taking the fall. Heroes taking the ball. And history recording it all. Welcome back to Who's Number One.
15.
Well before their move to Los Angeles, the Lakers were powers. The 1953 team winning the second of 3 consecutive titles. They were led by the gentle giant George Mikan, the bespectacled center who was considered treetop tall in those days, with a bank shot you could take to the bank.
George Mikan was the first big man I had ever seen play basketball. He was just bigger than everybody.
We won 4 championships in 5 years. George, of course, was the guy that we went to, and he was our leader.
Big, broad shoulders. I used to watch him. I just see those shoulders move around.
All you had to do is just throw it over the heads of everybody, and Mikan would catch it just like that.
George Mikan meant a great deal to the NBA because it gave the NBA great credibility.
Wherever we played, the place was sold out, and that was because of George, who was Magic Johnson, Larry Bird, Michael Jordan rolled into one.
14.
Oscar Robertson was near career's end, while Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, then going by Lou Alcindor, had only just begun when they teamed to lift Milwaukee to its only NBA title. The 1971 Bucks went 12-2 in the postseason.
If you ever want to talk about one guy making a difference on a team, it's Oscar Robertson with that Bucks team.
He was a general on the floor. When Kareem wasn't scoring well, he took over.
My job was to get this guy in the game, get this guy in the game, get him some points, make our weakest link on the team stronger.
Oscar was so fundamentally sound and so smart that he was great for a young Lou Alcindor, and there was no stopping him.
Nobody could stop that hook shot, that sky hook. Nobody. And he had that desire, that will to win. You could see that.
I was wondering why the combination of Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, Oscar Robertson, I didn't understand why they lost, ever.
13.
Detroit turned the lane into Bloody Nose Alley. Glorying in their bully boy image, the 90 Pistons won on effort and intimidation. Led to a second straight title by Isaiah Thomas, he of the choir boy face that masked a raging passion to win.
And that team was just stacked top to bottom with assassins.
We were very tough-nosed defensive guys.
Bill Laimbeer throwing bows and hitting threes.
And every day at practice, Chuck Daly just said, hey, here's the ball, play for your minutes.
Rick Mahorn throwing bodies, Dennis Rodman rebounding.
And guys would literally, we'd fight.
Some people have referred to it as thug ball, you know, beating you up.
Everyone talks about their identity as the bad boys, but the baddest boys is probably their backcourt.
Isaiah Thomas, to me, is the greatest 6-foot player or under to ever play.
You played those Pistons teams, you know you were gonna get mugged. And he was like the leader of the pack.
He had this angelic image about him, a smile on his face, but at the same time, that smile could also very much be a stab in the back. That's the kind of competitor that he was.
Detroit is the city of champions again!
He came every night. The guy never disappointed you.
He was the one in my book that made that team go. This team was tough. They didn't take any crap from anybody.
12. Wow. 12.
In one of the most famous entrances in sports, Willis Reed limped like Ahab onto the court and scored New York's first 2 baskets in Game 7 of the 1970 Finals. His inspired Knicks teammates, all-stars in their own right, ripped L.A. for the crown.
That NBA championship game was blacked out in New York. But on Long Island, if you shimmied your channel, you could get Channel 8 out of Connecticut. And we got the TV set right on 8, had a snowy picture, and watched Chris Schenkel and Jack Twyman in that opening, wondering, where's Willis? And here he comes now!
Those guys gave up for each other. They loved each other. They didn't care about individual achievements. It was all about the team.
We hear so much about Clyde Frazier. He was a great individual player, but he was more than that. For all his flamboyance and style and charisma off the court, he was a team player.
They played a beautiful game. They shared the basketball.
They just carved you up, and they complemented each other so well.
On any given night, you could have a different high scorer. Walt Frazier one night, Dick Barnett the next, Bill Bradley the next, Wall Street the next, Dave DeBusschere the next.
I don't think there's any question, don't want to argue that that was the hittiest team that ever won an NBA title.
This was a team that won 18 straight games, won in miraculous fashion, showed great courage. I mean, this was a movie script this season.
11.
This was the second of 3 straight titles for Michael and the Jordanaires in a run that reached 6 championships in 8 years. Michael Jordan was revealed as the Hoop's Hope Diamond, flawless. Pitbull defenders, the 92 Bulls won 67 games.
One of the greatest things about Michael Jordan, I think, is that he was never satisfied. When they won that first title, he was thinking about the second one.
That just set him off. That was almost like a springboard. Once he won the first one, it just seemed to elevate him to want to win more.
it was tougher because everybody knew what was coming when they faced the Bulls, and they had to really pull it out, but they still won the games they had to win, mainly because they had